Developing in a Databricks notebook is fast and convenient, but when it comes to MLOps, that convenience can quickly become a bottleneck. Writing modular code, writing unit tests, and code quality all become really problematic in a notebook. In this video, we'll show you how to break out of the notebook and move your development to the VS Code. Here you can write cleaner production-ready ML code and set up yourself for MLOps success. Welcome to the second lecture of our free MLOps with Databricks course. In the first lecture, we discussed what MLOps is and why you should care about it. In this lecture, we're talking about developing on Databricks. First things first, this course is utilizing free edition of Databricks. If you Google for it, the first link you may see is actually referring to the free trial on Databricks. You should not use that one. Instead, you should use free edition, which is replacing Databricks Community Edition. Let's sign up for it. We fill in where we are located, so I'm in Netherlands, and we are going to continue and create the Databricks free edition. So I've proven I'm human, and we can go on. Awesome! We are in a completely new free edition Databricks workspace. You can actually see it's free edition because it says free edition under the logo of Databricks in the upper left corner. Well, we have the workspace now. What about the code? The code is located in our Marvelous MLOps organization, and the use case we'll be working on in this course is Marvel characters. Bashak and I are big Marvel fans, so when we saw this dataset on Kaggle, we couldn't resist. To be able to follow along the course, we recommend to fork the repo. In that way, you can also follow along the CI/CD part of our materials. So let's fork it. I will fork it under my own user. For you, it would be your own user. So let's create the fork. So here is the repo. Let's clone the repo. I will clone it in the Marvelous folder. So the repo is here. Let's open the project in the VS Code. Okay, so we have the Marvel characters project. Let's take a look at the project configuration file. Here we have defined different environments, production, acceptance, and development. And for each of them, we have a different catalog. So MLOps Prod, MLOps Acceptance, and Dev. And there is a schema called Marvel characters in each of these catalogs. We have experiment names for basic and custom model, parameters for the model. We are going to train a light GBM model. We have numeric features like height and weight and categorical features. And we also have target alive. So we are going to predict whether the Marvel character is going to survive or not. The code wouldn't run unless the catalogs and schemas are created. Let's do that in the Databricks workspace. Let's create a catalog. We call it MLOps Dev. Let's also create MLOps Acceptance and the MLOps Prod at the same time. And now we need to create a schema called Marvel characters. Let's create it. We repeat the same thing for acceptance and production as well, so that we don't have to bother with it later. We could have automated that, but to get a feeling of how Databricks works, that's probably the best way for you to do it like that for now. So we have our MLOps Dev catalog and Marvel characters schema. The next thing we need to do is installing Databricks CLI. I'm using a MacBook, so I will be using Homebrew. but use the tool that supports your operating system. I already have a Databricks CLI installed. I'm showing it for the purpose of showing it. Once Databricks CLI is installed, we need to configure it. We can authenticate towards Databricks using the Databricks authentication command. And we need to provide the host, and the host we can copy from the workspace. So that's the host with HTTPS in it. So we have created the profile. It goes back to Databricks to authenticate. And the profile was successfully saved. Let's go to the Visual Studio Code. Here I have Databricks VS Code extension. You can install Databricks extension by going to the extensions and looking for Databricks. I actually need to update it. So let's update it. Okay, so the Databricks extension is updated. By the way, it also works on Cursor if you prefer to use Cursor instead of VS Code. It currently says invalid host for the target dev. So what does it actually mean? We have the Databricks YAML file where the Databricks extensions knows what host you're using for different targets. We will not be going through the targets right now. It actually will be later in the lecture when we are going through Databricks deployments. But for now, the only thing you need to know is that you need to update your host to an actual value. Okay, so it is actually now connecting to the Databricks. We can check the configuration profile that was created in Databricks configuration file. It was created by us running the Databricks authentication CLI command. It actually shows us a lot of red signs, and what it expects from us is having a Python environment. Let's check out the PyProject.toml file. Here we specify the project name, we specify the Python version, we're using Python 3.12, and we specify the dependencies with its exact versions, so that when we install our private package, Marvel Characters, all these packages are also getting installed with this specific version as stated here. We also have optional dependencies of the project, which we use during the development. And these are Databricks Connect, IPyKernel, we also need pip, and the pre-commit, so that we can check that the code quality is according to the standards defined as well here in the PyProject.toml file for the RAF tool. Let's now run the uvsync command, and because we are in development mode, let's also install the optional dependencies. uvsync extra dev. As simple as that. It's creating also the virtual environment, and we want to select it for the workspace folder. It now shows that the active environment is Marvel Characters, and we don't have any cluster attached. So let's actually use a cluster, and in this case we want to use serverless. That's the only option we have when we use Databricks free edition. So I just restarted the terminal and I now have a correct virtual environment showing up here. Let's do the following thing. Let's go to our Databricks workspace, free edition, and the one way to interact with our code base is using Git folders. So we can create a Git folder here, and the only thing we need to do is pass this name of the repo and create a Git folder. Our friend wants to jump, and we're not letting him jump this time. Let's go to the notebooks folder and let's take a look at the Lecture 2 Marvel Data Preprocessing Notebook. The first thing we need to do is set up the environment. We have environment version 2 set up here by default, but we need to have environment version 3, which matches our Python version. You can read about different environment versions in Databricks documentation, and there are in total 3 different environment versions. Environment version 3 is the most recent one, and end of support date is in June 2028. If we go to the environment version, we can read the specifications of it. And we can see that operating system is Ubuntu 24.04.2 and Python 3.12 and Databricks Connect 16.3. And there are some installed Python libraries already. It doesn't mean that you can't install other versions of the libraries on top of that. That's exactly what we are doing. Environment version 3 is very similar to Databricks Runtime 16.4 LTS, but it's much more lightweight. The runtime comes with operating system, the same one. It also comes with the same version of Python, but on top of that, it also has Java, Scala, R, and Delta Lake. Databricks runtime can be selected for job compute or all-purpose compute, interactive clusters, but those are not supported in the free edition. In free edition, you can only use serverless compute. So let's go back to the notebook and let's apply the environment version 3. You can't really choose many things for serverless compute. The only thing you can really tweak is the memory, and there are not so many options available. It's either standard or high, and auto-scaling is defined by Databricks, and all other options are defined by Databricks, and you can't really change it. Serverless compute is great for running SQL commands or for low memory intensive applications, but some machine learning projects require quite a lot of memory, especially if you are using the pandas command for your light GBM or other models. It will all run not in a distributed way, but in a single node, and it will require all the memory you have. For this specific project, we don't really need a lot of memory, so we just select the standard memory option and let's apply the environment version 3. Okay, so the serverless compute is connected now, and let's install the libraries that we have as dependencies. It basically takes requirements from the PyProject.toml file and just installs all the dependencies mentioned here with the versions we specified. Okay, well, let's start and try to import the libraries that we have. And it can't find module named Marvel characters. So the solution for that is not really great. We need to adjust the system path. I don't recommend doing that ever. Please don't do that. But there is no way around it in a Git folder. So we can see that this code runs successfully. The Marvel characters package could be found, and then we can also import some modules from that. I'm not going further with this notebook in the Databricks workspace, and instead I will show you a better option. So let's go back to our VS Code. And let's talk about the project a bit more before we go and deep dive into the code. So this is the dataset from Kaggle, where you have information about the name, universe, identity, gender, marital status, height, weight, origin. I think it's pretty cool dataset, so I hope you enjoy it too. Just to be clear, this course is not a data science course, it's an MLOps course, so we're not really going to deep dive into how to make the best model, and obviously it's just a data set to play with, not really a serious use case. You may hear a happy cat sound in the background because cat is on my lap and very happy that he is there listening to this lecture. So now I will be going through the Lecture 2 Marvel Data Preprocessing notebook, and I will run it in the VS Code. You can notice that there are separate cells that you can run, and you can do that because there is a VS Code setting specified here saying that this is an interactive Jupyter Notebook cell. You could put anything else in there and make anything else an interactive cell delimiter, but that's a default Databricks setting. We don't have to run these cells because we actually have an active Python environment with all the libraries that we need. So we can start right away from here. So we are loading project configuration. So let's take a look at the Marvel characters configuration module. Well, in fact, it's pretty simple. We are using Pydantic to validate the data types. And in that way, we ensure that whatever is put in the configuration file is actually correct and can be used later in the process. The next step we do is creating a Spark session. We will not be using it right away. In fact, we are using the local dataset stored in the data folder. But we will use it later to upload the data to a Delta table in Unity Catalog. So let's run this cell first. What happened here is just reading Pandas data frame. And then we are using the data processor class. Let's take a look what that is doing. Let's go through the data processor class of the data processor module in our package. It gets initialized with Pandas data frame configuration and the Spark session. The first method, preprocess, doesn't take any arguments, but we need categorical features, numerical features, and the target. We rename some columns. We take universe feature, and if the value is unknown, we fill it with unknown value. Then we don't want all the universes to be present because it creates the noise. So we only want most common universes like Earth 616 or Earth 199999 to be there. And small universes will have value other. We also don't want to have value of the teams that the character belong to. We just want to know whether the character belonged to a team or not. So, for example, if Marvel character was a member of Avengers or X-Men or maybe both, we don't care how many teams. We just want to know whether the character belonged to any team or not. We also have origin. Origin means whether it's a human or mutant or anything else, and we will fill unknown values with unknown. We also have identity, which is public, secret, or unknown. We also have gender, so we fill unknown values with unknown, and we will define male, female, and other as a gender. Then we look at the marital status. We want it to be in unknown, single, married, widowed, and engaged. Then we create features magic and mutant. If origin had magic word in it, then we set magic to 1 and otherwise to 0. Mutant, if there was a word mutant in origin, we assign it to 1, otherwise to 0. And then we also normalize origin because it had many different values. So if human is in the string, then we return human. If mutate or mutant was in the string, we return mutant. So human is more important than mutant here. Then if Asgardian, then Asgardian. If alien, then alien. We do the same for symbiote, robot, and cosmic being. And otherwise, we return other. In that way, we try to reduce noise as much as we can. And then we look at our target variable alive, and we only keep values alive and dead, because there are some weird values out there as well. And the resulting data frame will only have numeric features, categorical features, target, and page ID, which is a unique identifier of our record. So then we have split data method, which takes a test size and random state, and we use scikit-learn function for doing train task split, and return train set and the test set. And then we save train and the test set to catalog. And then we also enable change data feed. So this is how the data processor looks like. And let's go back into the code. So let's run the cell for the data pre-processing. We split the data into the train and the test set, and then save data to catalog. Here we're actually using Spark session, and it's actually writing data to a Delta table in Unity catalog as we speak. That's actually interesting why Spark session works, because if we are doing uv pip freeze command, there is no PySpark. It's just not there. So why does it actually work in the first place? Because we're using Databricks Connect. So if we look at our PyProject TOML file, we are using Databricks Connect, and Databricks Connect actually comes with PySpark embedded into it. And that's why you should never install PySpark together with the Databricks Connect. It's gonna have conflict with each other. So let's go and actually check whether the data is there. And we can go to catalog. We go to MLOps dev. We go to Marvel characters. And yes, here is our train and the test set. It's pretty amazing. That's all what we did from the VS Code. We used DB Connect to upload the data to Unity catalog. There is one more thing I wanted to mention. There is pretty cool feature in the VS Code extension that is called remote folder. It actually lets you upload all the files to Databricks by just clicking this button. So you can see that it's actually synchronizing all the files to a workspace. We can go and check whether it's there. So it's in the workspace. We have a bundle folder. We have dev, Marvel characters, files, and here are all the files that we just synchronized, which means you can go to a notebook and actually run the notebook from here as well, if for some reason you can't run the notebook from the VS Code. And there are multiple reasons why you couldn't be able to. So for example, some commands like delta table commands wouldn't work from your VS Code. Also, feature engineering package wouldn't work from the VS Code, and you would have to execute it in a Databricks environment. Let's run a uv build command. And in that way, we are actually going to build our package, and it is stored in the dist folder. Just copy paste the name. The gist folder is in the gitignore file, and therefore it will not be synchronized to Databricks workspace. You also see that there is nothing going on here. There is no synchronization of the gist folder. But instead, let's just copy paste this Marvel character wheel to a notebooks folder. And let's just move it there. And we can see that the wheel is uploaded. So we can go to the notebooks folder. You can see there is a wheel file there. And let's go to this notebook again. And instead of running all these commands with pip install -e and adjusting the system path, you could just pip install the wheel. We don't use the right environment here, so it's also convenient to still do that because it will otherwise fail. But then you can just pip install the wheel, and this might be a more convenient option for you to deal with the Python packages. Thank you for watching the video about developing on Databricks. I hope it became clear for you how you can use VS Code for that purpose. It makes it much easier to manage your Python environment and to write modular code. In the next lecture, I will walk you through MLflow and MLflow experiment tracking. Stay tuned.